I just learned, a friend recently informed me that I am on a Ukrainian hit list. I found this out. I guess Robbie Starbuck tweeted about this a few days ago. I must have missed it. There's a Ukraine enemies list that was put out, not by the government of Ukraine, because these sorts of things are pretty much never put out by the governments. It's put out by an NGO, a non-governmental organization. In this case, it's an NGO with ties to the U.S. State Department crafting this policy. And it's an enemies list, a list of people and institutions that are apparently to blame for Ukraine's battlefield losses, put together by texty.org.ua. .ua is the Ukrainian URL. And it was founded by Anatoly Bondarenko. Bondarenko has been an instructor for the U.S. State Department's Tech Camp program. This provides training to all sorts of assets that we mobilize around the world from the U.S. State Department. That includes foreign journalists and other NGOs and activists. So now you got the State Department plucking this guy out of obscurity, training him. This guy working for Ukraine is adding American citizens, yours truly included, to a Ukraine enemies list, which is tantamount to a hit list. And the funniest part of it is, I'm not even categorically opposed to helping Ukraine. Not in principle, at least. I have been, for a very long time, on the side of statesmen like George Kennan, author of The Long Telegram and American Cold War Policy, people like Henry Kissinger, people like Sam Nunn, people like Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who urged caution after the fall of the Soviet Union. After the fall of the Soviet Union, we were managing the collapse of the evil empire, and these foreign policy realists said, hey, NATO should not just start expanding willy-nilly. That could be really, really provocative. It's good to have some buffer states. We need to manage this as we are now the global hegemon. We don't want to needlessly provoke our former adversary, Russia. And of course, the utopians and the liberal imperialists and the globalists and all the rest, they said, yeah, whatever, shut up. And they went out and they recklessly expanded NATO. And they got NATO involved in offensive wars. And it's been disastrous for U.S. policy. So that's been my perspective. I think buffer states are good. Ukraine was a pretty good buffer state. There's no reason recklessly to invite Ukraine to join NATO or Ukraine even to join the European Union. It just seems kind of crazy to me. But, okay, the die is cast. We already did that. And I guess categorically, I'm not necessarily opposed to helping Ukraine. Until now. Before, I sort of thought, well, whatever. It's just a U.S. client state. It's a satellite for America in Eastern Europe, and whatever. We give them a little bit of money. Not ideal, but you know what? Now, if you're going to put me on a hit list, Putin can take it for all I care. Forget about it. I don't care. Zelensky, he can go take a long walk off a short pier as far as I'm concerned. I know Zelensky himself didn't put me on this list, but this is outrageous. And it wasn't just me. It was a ton of mainstream conservatives. Just around my name on this list, and the list goes very far. I saw Ben, I saw Brett, Daily Wire as an institution, lots and lots of non-Daily Wire figures. So that's fine. All right. You know what I now think about Ukraine? Because the nation of Ukraine is just so terrible at winning friends and influencing people that they've turned off people who possibly could have been on their side. But I look at that conflict now, and I sort of think, well, only one of the belligerents in this conflict has ever put me on a hit list, and it wasn't Vladimir Putin. So you know what, Ukraine, good luck. Good luck. Enjoy. I am now, as of today, totally opposed to aid to Ukraine. That's what you get. That's what you get. You get what you get, and you can't get upset. There's a Pew survey out shows that Trump supporters are far more likely than Joe Biden supporters to say that society should prioritize marriage and having children. The survey here, here it is. The survey here is entirely unsurprising, of course. Oh, if you just had to get, without looking at any data, you say, hey, who do you think's more into marriage and having kids and like being normal and having a good life? The conservatives or the purple-haired? Not a difficult choice. So among all voters, 39% say they are interested in getting people to get married and have children, making that a priority. Among Trump supporters, it's 59%. Among Biden supporters, it's 19%. Fewer than 1 in 5 Biden supporters think that society does better when people get married and have kids. Men are more likely to think it than women overall. But for the Trump-supporting men and women, it's pretty close. White people and Hispanic people are much more likely to think this than Black people and Asian people. 60% of white Trump supporters say society's better off when people get married and have kids. Only 17% of white Biden supporters. So for Black people, it's just much narrower, the range. Only 34% of Black Trump supporters think that society is better off. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I have to correct that. Black Trump supporters don't even show up in the poll. Oh no, there it is right there. That's really unfortunate. So you've only got all voters and Black voters, but you can't even really see a distinction for Trump supporters. Okay, that's too bad. But in any case, the range there is just 29 to 34. So the Black Biden supporters are much more likely to favor getting married and having kids than the white Biden supporters. But it's still a pretty small number. Hispanics is broader. Asians, it's more condensed. Among college graduates who support Biden, 66%. So the most likely people to say getting married and having kids is good for society are actually college graduates who support Trump. That result might be kind of surprising because you think people get indoctrinated in college. But if you graduate college and you remain a conservative, then you're going to see not only at a gut level why getting married and having kids is good, but you're going to have processed some of the philosophical and historical arguments maybe for why that's true. And then that's a huge, the college grad Biden supporters, pretty much the least likely to support that. Okay. No surprise whatsoever. The modern Democrat Party is a death cult. Simple as. They want to kill the babies in the womb. When they can't kill the babies in the womb, they want to kill the kids when they get out of the womb, and they want to limit their life expectancies by pumping them full of and give them all sorts of and them so that they can't have kids themselves. And then when they get a little bit older and they suffer from some chronic pain or something, they're going to try to kill them through so-called euthanasia, assisted murder at every step of the way. At every step of the way. Because in the meantime, they're also going to push contraception. They're also going to push all the rest of it. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird how every Democrat policy that could possibly touch on life opposes life. It's not just, it's the euthanasia, it's contraception, it's just on and on. It's discouraging marriage. It's discouraging having kids. It's all the rest. The one, I guess you could say the one Democrat policy that is not totally opposed to life is their endorsement of IVF in the surrogacy industry, which does lead to people being born, but it also just sells babies. It commoditizes human life and sells babies and treats human beings as something less than human. So there's a trade-off there. Okay, and that one, they don't want to kill the babies. They just want to treat human beings as property to be bought and sold. It's weird. It's weird. It's almost as though there is a spiritual aspect behind all of those policies that is extraordinarily dark. I'm not accusing the Democrats of, explicitly and intentionally worshiping demons. Sometimes they do. There is a lot of occult imagery, and especially with all the pride stuff, which is the deadliest of the 7 deadly sins. They have a whole month dedicated to it. But if all of your policies end up with murder and the degradation of human beings, maybe you got to ask what spiritual aspect lies behind those policies. That was a great clip. Now, ring that bell. Subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. See you next time.